This conference will now be recorded.
Welcome. Good morning, everybody. My dear students, today we are going to discuss about microbiology spotters. In the examination, you will be asked, you have to show in the examination, and each spotter will get 1 mark, and you have to identify and write some points against each spotter. The first spotter in microbiology, general bacteriology particularly, the first spotter is tuberculin syringe. See, this is a tuberculin syringe. This is a tuberculin syringe. What is the importance of this tuberculin syringe? It appears like a insulin syringe. It appears like an insulin syringe. There are about 10 markings here. This is about a 3 ml syringe, disposable syringe. It is used to inoculate a small quantity of some microbe, particularly the tuberculin. It is an antigen. The tuberculin is a crude antigen, and a PPD, that is called a purified protein derivative, to inoculate into the individual, particularly to do the test. That is, test is called as tuberculin test or Mantoux test. Tuberculin test or Mantoux test. What is the importance of tuberculin test or Mantoux test? This test is used to know the individual's hypersensitivity. Individuals have whether the individual is sensitized or not against the tubercle bacilli. The individual is sensitized or not against the tubercle bacilli. It is a simple test in injecting intradermally on the flexor aspect of the forearm, and we have to read the result after 48 hours. After 48 hours, we have to read the results. In the flexor aspect, we will get some result. That result is called in the terms of induration. We have to measure the induration on the flexor aspect of the forearm. We have to raise the wheel, and we have to observe the induration after 48 hours. After 48 hours, then only we will get the result. Suppose the patient is getting induration, means the individual is sensitized with the tubercle bacilli. It knows that the individual is sensitized or not. Suppose the individual gets induration of 10 mm, the induration of 10 mm on the flexor aspect of the forearm. After inoculation after 48 hours, he will get induration. Suppose it is less than 10 mm, is nothing but the test is called Mantoux test negative. Suppose the induration is more than 10 millimeters, the Mantoux test positive. The Mantoux test is also called as tuberculin test. The Mantoux test is also called as a tuberculin test. This is the spotter of the tuberculin syringe. This is the tuberculin syringe. See, this is, please all of you note down the tuberculin syringe. Tuberculin syringe. We have to take the 0.1 ml of the purified protein derivative. Take the 0.1 ml of purified protein derivative and inject intradermally, not subcutaneously. We have to inject intradermally in the flexor aspect of the forearm. Flexor aspect of the forearm. And after 48 hours, we have to read the result on the flexor aspect of the forearm. We have to read the result on the flexor aspect of the forearm. This is the spotter of the general bacteriology, the tuberculin syringe. Tuberculin syringe. What is the importance of the tuberculin test? The tuberculin test is used to measure the individual sensitivity to the tubercle bacilli. Suppose the patient got more than 10 millimeters, the individual is sensitized. Suppose the less than 10 millimeters, the patient is not sensitized with the tuberculin bacilli. Tuberculin bacilli. Okay, this is Mantoux test or tuberculin test, the principle and interpretation. Tubercular interpretation. The most of the individuals are in India. The most of the individuals are getting the tuberculin test positive, means after birth most of them are exposing to the tuberculin test. Particularly, this test is useful for the children only. The Mantoux test is useful for children. The Mantoux test is useful for children, particularly to know the tuberculin test negative means he has to take a vaccine, tuberculin BCG vaccine. He has to take BCG vaccine. Negative means BCG vaccine. BCG vaccine means Bacillus calmette guerin vaccine. He has to take. Suppose the Mantoux test is negative, particularly in children. Mantoux test negative. Mantoux test negative. But suppose in children, he has to take vaccine, BCG vaccine. Okay, it is the amount of the bacilli which are present in the Mantoux test is the purified protein derivative of the tuberculin bacilli. Purified protein derivative of the tuberculin bacilli. He has to inject into the flexor aspect of the forearm. Sometimes this the tuberculin syringe is also used for intracerebral inoculation into the mice. Intracerebral inoculation into the mice. Please all of you see this pattern. This is the tuberculin syringe. This is a tuberculin syringe. Okay, the next slide, next spotter. This is second spotter is VDRL slide. VDRL slide. This is called as VDRL slide. It is useful for the diagnosis of the antibodies of syphilis. To know the antibodies of syphilis. This is a slide particularly specifically used for diagnosis of antibodies of Treponema pallidum. Treponema pallidum syphilis antibodies. Treponema pallidum syphilis antibodies we have to detect. There are about the 12 concavities or 12 depressions. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 6 plus 6, 12. 12 depressions. Each depression or concavity is about 14 millimeters in diameter. 14 millimeters in diameter. It is specially prepared for the diagnosis of the syphilis or Treponema pallidum. But this test is the VDRL slide is useful for the detection of syphilis antibodies by doing the slide precipitation or slide flocculation test. The test is called as slide precipitation or slide flocculation. Slide precipitation or slide flocculation. Slide precipitation is also called flocculation. This, what is done by precipitation? The soluble antigen combining with soluble antibody at the at a suitable temperature and pH, and there is a formation of precipitate, insoluble precipitate or floccule formation. The soluble antigen combining with soluble antibody at suitable temperature and pH, there is a formation of insoluble precipitate or floccules. Insoluble precipitate or floccules. This slide is specifically used not for other antibody detection, only for the detection of syphilis antibodies. Only for the detection of the syphilis antibodies. There are 12 depressions are there. See, 12 depressions are concavities. 12 depressions are concavities. Each depression or each concavity for one test. We can do 10 to 12 tests. We can do 10 to 12 tests in a slide. And we have to observe the antibody insoluble precipitation or flocculation by observing under the microscope, low power microscope. We can observe the flocculation or precipitation under the low power microscope, 10x microscope we can observe. There is a formation of insoluble precipitate or floccules. Floccules will form after the syphilis antibody mixing with soluble syphilis antibody and formation of antigen combining with antibody and formation of floccules under the slide, under the low power microscope, 10x microscope. This is slide flocculation test. Slide flocculation test for the detection of Treponema pallidum. Treponema pallidum syphilis antibodies. Syphilis antibodies. So this is a special slide for the detection of the syphilis antibodies. Please all of you see and observe the syphilis VDRL slide. This is a VDRL slide only for the detection, not for other antibodies, only for the syphilis antibodies. only for the syphilis antibodies. Okay, the antigen used in this VDRL test is cardiolipin antigen. It is a non-specific test. The VDRL test is a non-specific test, and even though it is a diagnosis, useful for the diagnosis, it is a non-specific test. Why? Because the antigen used in the VDRL test is cardiolipin antigen, not the syphilis antigen. The cardiolipin antigen is used for the detection of syphilis antibodies. That is why this test is called non-specific test. We can observe the antigen antibody reaction. We can observe the antigen antibody reaction in the floccular slide, in the depression. In the depression, we can see the precipitation or flocculation of the particular test. That is why there are 12 depressions are there. We can do 12 tests at a time in this slide. This slide is called VDRL slide. VDR, what is VDRL? Venereal disease research laboratory test. Venereal disease research laboratory. VDRL means venereal disease research laboratory test. The test is the slide is VDRL slide. See, this is VDRL slide, special slide for the detection of the only syphilis, not for the other antibodies. VDRL slide. Please, all of you see the VDRL slide. Okay. All depressions are there. All depressions, and each depression for the detection of the one test, antigen antibody mixing. One antigen, first we have to put the antigen. We have to put the antigen, cardiolipin antigen, and one drop of patient serum, suspected syphilis patient serum. We have to put and mix it and observe under the low power microscope. So suppose the patient having syphilis antibodies in his serum, we can see the floccules in the serum, in the mixer. Floccules in the serum. The floccule is nothing but antigen antibody mixer. Anti-cardiolipin plus serum. Suppose there is no floccules, means the patient doesn't have any antibodies, syphilis antibodies. The patient doesn't have any syphilis antibody. This is a VDRL slide. This is VDRL slide. Okay, we have to identify. We will be asked in the practical spotters. We will be asked in the practical spotters. In the last spotter, that is tuberculin syringe. Tuberculin syringe is over. Next, this is a VDRL slide. This is tuberculin syringe. This is VDRL slide. Next. Okay. Then next, the third spotter is ELISA test. What is ELISA? ELISA test, enzyme linked immunosorbent test. Enzyme linked. It is a special type of antigen antibody reaction. This is a special type of antigen antibody reaction. Here we have to use the solid phase. In the solid phase, that is nothing but polystyrene plastic coating material. On the plastic coating material, that is immunosorbent material, we have to add the patient serum and antigen, so that there is a formation of antigen antibody reaction. That is why this test is called enzyme linked. After adding enzyme, there will be a lysis of the antigen antibody and formation of color. The formation of color means there will be a positive. There is no color means the test is negative. Here the enzyme is used. Enzyme is linked to the antigen antibody reaction. The enzyme is linked to the antigen antibody reaction. In case of agglutination and precipitation, there is no enzyme. In case of agglutination and precipitation, there is no enzyme. Here the enzyme is linked to the antigen antibody reaction. Enzyme is linked to the antigen antibody reaction. It involves the use of an immunosorbent, an absorbing material for one of the components of the reaction, the antigen or antibody, so that there will be a formation of the enzyme and immunosorbent and antigen and antibody, so that there will be a reaction, combination of reactions will occur. Finally, the color is produced. The absorbing material, particulate like cellulose or agarose, or solid phase like plastic or polystyrene or polycarbonate tubes or microvels, we have to use, so that we have to observe the reaction in this reaction in the polystyrene or microvels tubes. See, there are about 100 wells we have to observe. We have to see 100 wells in a plate. In the ELISA plate, 100 wells will be there. 100 wells, 96 wells. These 96 wells will be there. In the 96 wells, we can do 96 tests at a time. We can do more than 90 tests in this plate. More than 90 tests in this plate at a time. Not 4 or 5 tests. We can do the 90 more than 90 samples. We can process in this plate. More than 90 samples we can process in this plate. That is why this test is called. The plate is called as ELISA plate. This plate is called. Please all of you note down. This is ELISA plate. ELISA plate. Here there are 96 wells will be there. The wells are nothing but particulate wells. This is the polystyrene or polycarbonate tubes or micro wells. Polystyrene or plastic or polycarbonate tubes. Polycarbonate tubes are there. In this polycarbonate tubes, we have to make the reaction. We have to make the reaction. Antigen and antibody and enzyme and the immunosorbent. Okay, this is the ELISA test. This is enzyme linked immunosorbent. Here in the ELISA, there are direct ELISA and indirect ELISA. We can do antigen also. We can also antibodies also can be detected. Antigen or antibodies can be detected. Suppose the particular patient, suppose the rotavirus antigen can be detected. Not only rotavirus, the many antigens can be detected. Suppose HIV antibodies, HIV antibodies can be detected. HIV antibodies can be detected. Sometimes HIV antigen can be detected. Any antibody or any antibodies of the patient, so the patient, this organism, any antibodies, any organism can be detected by the ELISA method. This principle is absorbing material, maybe particulate material, and along with the absorbing material for one of the components. This absorbing material for one of the components like antigen or antibody. Either antigen or antibody can be absorbed so that we can detect either antigen or antibody. We can detect either antigen or antibody in this reaction, in this test. This test is called enzyme linked. There are, what are the antigen antibody reactions? Agglutination, precipitation, radioimmunoassay, and other ELISA, like that, the other immunofluorescence, like that. There are so many antigen antibody reactions. This ELISA is one of the antigen antibody reactions. ELISA is the one of the antigen antibody reactions. ELISA is the one of the antigen antibody reactions. This is also important spotter. We have to identify the examination. This is the 96 wells plate, ELISA plate. This plate is called ELISA plate. This plate is called ELISA plate. ELISA plate. Next. The next spotter is the McIntosh field is anaerobic jar. The McIntosh field is, there is a separate jar. That jar is called McIntosh field is anaerobic jar is there. In this jar, useful for the detection of the growing of the anaerobic bacteria. Anaerobic bacteria. Aerobic bacteria, usually they will take the oxygen and they will grow. But in case of anaerobic, in the absence of oxygen, some bacteria will grow. These bacteria are called anaerobic bacteria. Those bacteria which will grow in the absence of oxygen, they are called as anaerobic bacteria. For this bacteria, we have to use the special method. That method is called anaerobic jar. Anaerobic jar we have to use for the growing of the anaerobic bacteria. But aerobic bacteria need not use this anaerobic jar. Usually they are easily grow in the incubator after putting the inoculating in the either blood agar or McConkey or some other media, and incubating in the incubator of 25 hours or 48 hours, the aerobic bacteria will grow. But anaerobic bacteria won't grow in the presence of oxygen. The anaerobic bacteria won't grow in the presence of oxygen. We have to provide some anaerobic environment. We have to provide anaerobic environment. Then only this anaerobic bacteria will grow. Here, exclusion of oxygen from the atmosphere. We have to remove the oxygen from the atmosphere in which anaerobic organisms are grown, and replacement with hydrogen. We have to replace with hydrogen in the and remove the oxygen and replace with the hydrogen so that this bacteria will grow. And not only that, the cold catalyst, that is a palladium catalyst. The palladium asbestos catalyst is used to combine with hydrogen, and the residual oxygen present in the jar will be removed. That is the principle of the anaerobic jar. Here, see, I am showing this anaerobic jar. See, this is anaerobic jar. This is anaerobic jar. We have to provide hydrogen. We have to remove the oxygen in the jar. And palladium catalyst, in the presence of palladium catalyst, the anaerobic bacteria will grow. The anaerobic bacteria will grow. See, there is a lid, and closing the lid, and oxygen environment, etc. are there. This is anaerobic jar. It is not autoclave. Don't confuse with autoclave. Autoclave is different. It is very big one. This is a anaerobic jar. This is small one. The anaerobic jar is small one. See, this is there are different tubes are there. The removal of oxygen and introducing the hydrogen. Removal of oxygen and introduction of hydrogen. It is not a autoclave. Autoclave is for sterilization. It is not sterilizer. It is a McIntosh field is anaerobic jar. This is a McIntosh field is anaerobic jar. This is a McIntosh field is anaerobic jar. This is McIntosh field is anaerobic jar. Please all of you see once again. McIntosh field is anaerobic jar. It is a stout glass or metal jar with a metal lid that can be clamped airtight with screw. The metal glass or a stout glass or metal jar with a metal lid that can be clamped airtight with a screw. Principle. What is the principle? The lid has an inlet and outlet valves. The lid has a nanometer to note the pressure inside the jar. Air is removed with vacuum pump, and hydrogen is filled with the inlet valve. The oxygen is removed, air is removed, and hydrogen is pumped into the jar. And there is a nanometer is also there to measure the pressure. Inlet and outlet valves are there. This is the simple McIntosh field is anaerobic jar. McIntosh field is anaerobic jar. It says it appears like autoclave, but we won't put autoclave as a sterile. The autoclave is very big one. It is not a portable. It is not a portable. Okay, please differentiate between the autoclave and McIntosh jar. McIntosh jar is small one. McIntosh jar is a small one. Okay, this is about the McIntosh and field is anaerobic jar to grow the anaerobic bacteria, particularly for the bacteria like the anaerobic non-performing anaerobic bacteria. They will grow in the McIntosh field is anaerobic jar, like lactobacilli and bifidobacterium and other anaerobic bacteria will grow. Those who are particularly in the intestine and also in the oral cavity, there are so many anaerobic bacteria. These bacteria will grow in the McIntosh field is anaerobic jar. Sometimes some bacteria that facultative anaerobic bacteria also will grow. Facultative anaerobic bacteria also like streptococci also will grow in this bacteria. Haemophilus, etc. will also grow in this jar. Next, another spotter, that is Widal test. The Widal test is a what is meant by Widal? The scientist Widal, who first discovered this Widal test to measure to diagnose the Salmonella antibodies, particularly to diagnose of the enteric fever, typhoid fever. To know the typhoid fever, there is a test. The test is called Widal test. The Widal test is a tube agglutination test. It is a Widal test, particularly in the agglutination test. It is agglutination. What is not agglutination? The agglutination test is a antigen antibody reaction. Agglutination test is a antigen antibody reaction. What is agglutination? By definition, the particulate antigen combining with the particulate antibody at suitable temperature and pH, there is a formation of clumping. The particulate antigen combining with the particulate antibody at suitable temperature and pH and sodium chloride concentration, there is a formation of clumping or clearing of the drop. Clumping is produced. That is, clumping is nothing but agglutination. Clumping is in the suppose if you see the VDRL test, the VDRL is a precipitation or flocculation. The VDRL is a precipitation or flocculation. The Vidal is an agglutination test. Vidal is an agglutination test. The VDRL for the detection of the syphilis. VDRL for the, it is a respirational flocculation for the detection of syphilis. The Vidal for the detection of enteric fever, Salmonella antibodies. Enteric fever, typhoid, enteric fever. What is enteric fever? The enteric fever is nothing but Salmonella typhi, the disease caused by the Salmonella typhi, Salmonella paratyphi A, Salmonella paratyphi B, Salmonella paratyphi C. Combined, all four, Salmonella typhi, Salmonella paratyphi A, Salmonella paratyphi B, Salmonella paratyphi C, all four bacteria will produce enteric fever. Enteric fever, commonly called typhoid. Typhoid means only typhi, Salmonella typhi. But what about paratyphoid? This is a typhoid fever, and both typhoid fever and paratyphoid fever. Typhoid fever and paratyphoid fever combinedly called enteric fever. Typhoid fever and paratyphoid fever combinedly called enteric fever. Typhoid is caused by Salmonella typhi. Paratyphoid is caused by either paratyphi A, B, or C. Typhoid and paratyphoid combinedly called enteric fever. But these for the detection of antibodies. For the detection of antibodies of these all four bacteria. Antibodies of all the four bacteria can be detected by the test principle, that is agglutination test. The scientist who first described this test is Vidal. The scientist Fernand Vidal. Fernand Vidal, who first discovered this test. Fernand Vidal first discovered this test for the detection of the Salmonella typhi, Salmonella paratyphi A, Salmonella paratyphi B, and Salmonella paratyphi C. These antibodies test. It is antibody detection, agglutination test. Antibody detection test. Vidal test is a serological test. Antibody test is a serology. Serology means antigen or antibody detection. Here the Vidal test is a antibody detection test. Vidal test is a antibody detection test. So Vidal test is a antibody detection test. Here the antibodies of Salmonella are H antibodies and O antibodies. H antibodies or O antibodies. Detection of agglutinins. Agglutinin is an antibody. Agglutinin is an antibody. Agglutinogen is an antigen. Agglutinogen is an antigen of that particular agglutination test. Agglutinin is an antibody of that particular agglutination test. Agglutinogen is an antigen of that particular agglutination. Agglutinin is an antibody of particular agglutination test. So the agglutinogen plus agglutinin, agglutinogen plus agglutinin, antigen plus antibodies combinedly produce agglutination. Agglutinogen plus agglutinin combinedly produce the antigen and antibody combinedly produce the antigen antibody reaction. Here the agglutination. Here the Vidal test, first Fernand Vidal, who first discovered this test and who first developed this reaction for the Salmonella patients, typhoid patients, for the H antibodies and O antibodies are detected. Both H antibodies or O antibodies are detected. Salmonella is, all of you know that Salmonella antibodies start appearing in the serum at the end of the first week. End of the first week, usually is end of the first week only. After starting from second week, only the antibodies will start producing. Only after first week only, not before first week. Before second week. Not before second week. This Vidal test we have to do. When will we do this test? We have to do only after first week, not before second week. After completion of this first only, we have to do Vidal. Suppose if you do before second week, the test may come negative. The test may come negative. That is no use. That is why, suppose any patient suffering with the typhoid or enteric fever, we have to do the test, serological test. We have to do after first week only, not before first, not in the first week, not in the first week. After first week only, we have to do the Vidal. Suppose the patient is suffering with enteric fever. What test we have to do in the beginning? What test we have to do in the beginning? In the first week. In the first week, we have to do blood culture. In the first week, we have to do blood culture. We have to do the culture, not the Vidal test, not the serum test, not antibody test. We have to do the antibody test only after first week, end of the first week only. End of the first week means second week onwards only. So antibodies start rising. That is why we have to do after first week only Vidal test. Suppose we have to how to diagnose the enteric fever in the first week. How to diagnose the enteric fever in the first week? We have to do blood culture, not by Vidal. Suppose any patient suffering with enteric fever in the first week, we have to do the diagnosis by the blood culture. After first week or end of the first week or second week onwards, the antibodies will rise. That is why this test is the only antibody detection test. That is why the antibodies won't produce in the first week. Antibodies won't produce agglutinins won't produce in the first week. That is why we have to do in the first week we have to do culture. In the second week onwards we have to do antibody test. That is why the Vidal test is preferable after first week, not in the first week. The Vidal test is preferable only after first week. The antibodies rise sharply during the third week of the enteric fever. So starting beginning from the second week and start rising after second week. There are two antibodies in the Vidal test. What are they? H antibodies and O antibodies. H antibodies and O antibodies. The H agglutination leads to the formation of loose cotton woolly clumps, while O agglutination appears as a granular deposit at the bottom of the tube. H agglutination and O agglutination. There are two antibodies in the Vidal test, H antibodies and O antibodies. The H antibodies will produce in the Vidal test. Wait. This is the Vidal test. Please, all of you see, there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6 plus 1. 6 plus 1. 1 row, 2 row, 3 row, 4 row. There are 4 rows in a Vidal rack. There are 4 rows in a Vidal rack. See, in the beginning, there are 6 tubes in the first, plus 1. That is control. That is control. The separate one is control. There are 6 tubes in the first row. Similarly, 6 tubes in the second row. Similarly, 6 tubes in the third row. The fourth one also 6 tubes in the fourth row. Like this, there are 24 tubes. There are 24 tubes. In this tube, this is a Vidal test for the detection of H antibodies and O antibodies. We can detect the salmonella typhi H antibodies, salmonella typhi O antibodies, paratyphi H antibodies, and paratyphi B H antibodies, but not paratyphi A and paratyphi B O antibodies. Paratyphi A and paratyphi B O antibodies are need not detected in the Vidal test. Not detected or need not detected, need not show in the Vidal test. We need not put in the Vidal test. Paratyphi A and B O antibodies. So we are detecting the O antibodies of Salmonella typhi. Once we are detecting the O antibody means we are also detecting the O antibodies of paratyphi A and paratyphi B. Need not put once again the O antibodies of paratyphi A and paratyphi B. That is why these first row for the detection of Salmonella H antibodies, Salmonella O antibodies, and paratyphi A H antibodies and paratyphi B H antibodies. The first row for the Salmonella typhi H antibodies, the second row for Salmonella typhi O antibodies, the third row for Salmonella paratyphi A H antibodies, the fourth row for the paratyphi B H antibodies. So suppose if at all we want to put 6 rows, we have to put for all the 3 species of the Salmonella. Here we are putting only 4 rows only. Why? Once we are putting Salmonella typhi O antibody means need not put Salmonella paratyphi B and A. So there are only 4 rows of Salmonella species of in the Vidal test. Here the H antibodies will produce cotton woolly clumps. The H antibodies will produce cottony woolly clumps. H antibodies in the tube will produce cottony woolly clumps. See, there are cottony woolly clumps in the H antibodies. Cottony woolly H antibodies will produce cottony woolly clumps. The O agglutination or O antibodies will produce the granular clumps. O antibodies will produce granular clumps. O antibodies will produce granular clumps. O antibodies will produce granular. This is about the Widal test. In the Widal test, we are going to detect the antibodies or agglutinins of Salmonella typhi, Salmonella paratyphi A, and Salmonella paratyphi B. This is about the Widal test. Here, how to interpret the result? The highest dilution of the serum showing agglutination indicates the antibody titer. Highest dilution of the serum we have to see. Highest dilution of, we have to increase the size and titration. We have to going on. We are diluting the serum with the saline, diluting the serum with saline, so that the highest dilution of the serum we have to see indicates the agglutination. That is nothing but the antibody titer. This is about the Widal test. Go to the then. This is about the four spotters. These are about the 4 spotters. That smell వస్తుంది కదా. Okay, thank you very much. Thank you.